Get up, get focused, and get into your passion, because we mow everywhere we go. Now, most of you know, if you watch my videos or check out my website, my passion is endeavoring with all I have to maximize the limitless potential that God's placed in my life, and to ignite and empower other people to live to the limits of their maximum potential. So, I believe it's so vitally important that we understand what the characteristics are that allow us to live that type of life. And so today and the next 2 days, I'm going to give you 3 characteristics that I think we have to adopt and train ourselves to be able to do, because they're not natural. I think our natural response in life is a defensive posture. But in order to live our maximum potential, that limits us. And so I think there are 3 characteristics that allow us, that are pillars, allows us to start on that pathway of maximizing our potential. They're not the only characteristics, but they're where we have to start. And they deal with our relationship to ourselves and our relationships to other people. So the first characteristic today is self-awareness. Or put another way, awareness of self. Who you are. You know, I hear people say all the time, I want to reach my maximal potential. I want to live my best life. But I think the problem is, a lot of times, we don't know who we are. What is our best life? If we don't know who we are, people sometimes will say to you, why do you try to be someone that you're not? Why don't you just be yourself? Well, the biggest problem is, if you don't know who you are, then the only person you can be is someone else. And too many people live their lives not knowing who they are. They can never live their maximal potential and have the biggest impact that they were meant to have if they don't know who they are. So self-awareness is critical. Do you realize when no one is observing you and you're just observing yourself in those times in life when no one's observing you, that is the hardest thing to do, is to observe yourself and be true to your beliefs. It's so hard for us because so many times we don't know who we are. So how can we be true to our beliefs if we don't know who we are? Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living. And that's so true. Why do we live our lives never examining our life? Who we are? What are our dreams? What are our passions? Instead, we just live like zombies, passing time, completely unexamined by ourselves. Now, other people might examine you, but are they being truthful? Do they have your best interest? There's a lot of people in our lives that just say things to us to pacify us. And there's some that just say things to us to hurt us. But when you develop the skill, the ability to examine your own life, that's when you take the power. That's when you understand who you are. That's when you're at the best point that you can relate to and love other people in your life. Ayn Rand said, you can never learn to say, I love you, without learning to say, I. And that's so true. If we can't say I, if we don't know who we are, If we have no clue, no self-awareness of who we are, we could never love someone else. We can never love anything until we love ourselves and who God made us to be. Galatians 6:4 says, examine yourself every day. Test yourself. Understand who you are. That is a key to living to the top of your potential. So think about that. It's so vitally important that we learn to examine ourselves. What does that require? It requires work. Everything requires work. I've told you before, you got to do the work when it comes to anything that's worth having. And you got to do the work to examine yourself. It takes time alone, in meditation, in prayer. It takes writing things down. I told you just the other day, your life teaches you so many lessons about yourself that you miss out on if you don't write it down. Go back to it, think on it, meditate on it, examine it. That's where this journey begins, with self-awareness. Who are you? You have the opportunity, you have the skills, you have the tools. You just have to use them, develop them, fine-tune them. So take the most of the opportunity that you have right now and make your life reach your limitless potential. Moyo everywhere we go.